Right, hello. This is just going to be a quick video. As you know, I don't usually do these types of videos, reaction videos. I think reaction channels are like some of the worst content on YouTube. But this story is I'm just absolutely disgusted by it. A young boy who was 17 years old at the time, he stabbed an intruder that came into his house while his mother was in the house, and he's been jailed for 3.5 years. I'm just going to read the article out loud by the Irish Times. Youth who stabbed home intruder jailed for 3.5 years. Judge said Dean Kerrie was entitled to use force in defence of himself, but the force he used was grossly excessive. A young man who stabbed and killed an intruder who had attacked him in his home in the middle of the night has been jailed for 3.5 years by the Central Criminal Court. Mr Justice Paul McDermott said Dean Kerrie, 21 now, was entitled to use force in defence of himself, his family and his home, but the force he used was grossly excessive given that the victim, Jack Power, was unharmed. Taking into account that Kerrie was 17 at the time showed genuine remorse and that he did not expect or instigate the violence on the night. The judge imposed a sentence of 4 years and 6 months with the final year suspended for 2 years. The sentence is backdated to June 30th of this year to take into account time Kerrie has already spent in custody. Kerrie, 21, with an address at St Brigid's Square, Porterlington in Cooloise, was twice tried for murder but convicted by a jury of manslaughter for killing Mr Power after the deceased had entered his home at Shannakeil in Dunmore East, Waterford in the early hours of July 26, 2018. Delivering sentence on Wednesday, Mr Justice McDermott said that in impact statements made to the court, Jack Power's family had said that they felt their son had no voice in the courtroom. The judge said, "Focus on rules and evidence and provide cold comfort for relatives whose loss is profound and lifelong." He described the deceased as an exceptionally hard-working young man who loved his work as a fisherman and was fueled by his father's encouragement. He was a role model and a fun companion for his brothers, and his losses incalculable. Now, Mr Justice McDermott, what he said there is just an absolute disgrace. He is taking the side of a man who has entered into another man's home, a young boy at 17 years old who was defending his mother at the time. He deserves everything he got. You should be able to defend yourself in your own home with whatever you can find at hand, no matter what. You should be able to hit him with a brick, a knife, a fucking samurai sword, just whatever's at hand. And if that guy dies, it's his own fault for entering into your house. You're entering into the lion's den, basically. If you enter the house of someone else, especially if it's got loved ones in the house, that man is responsible for doing whatever is necessary to eliminate that man, whether that's death or knocking him out or just throwing him out of the house and phoning the police, whatever. If the guy dies, it's on the guy that's entered the home. And for the judge to take the guy that broke into the home's fucking side is just disgraceful. I'll continue. He added, "Nothing I do or say will alleviate this suffering. The sentence I impose must be proportionate to the gravity of the offence of manslaughter and also appropriate to his, Kerrie's, circumstances." The trial heard that Jack Power had been drinking into the early hours and at about 3 a.m. saw damage to his car, which he believed had been caused by Dean Kerrie. He went to Kerrie's home, picked up a rock and smashed the front window of Kerrie's home. He then entered through the front door. So not only, it's said before that this guy was unarmed, but he's used a brick or a stone to smash the window in, and then he's went into the house. So the defendant clearly doesn't know that he doesn't know that the guy's unarmed. He could still have a brick in his hand, so he's quite within his right to pick up whatever he wants to defend himself. And if he kills the guy, then it's the other guy's fault. There should be no remorse whatsoever. He shouldn't feel bad for himself, and his family should understand that he took his life into his own hands by going into another man's house. Mr. Justice McDermott said Mr. Power assaulted Dean Kerrie in his bedroom, and there was a suggestion that he also attacked Kerrie's mother. Kerrie told Gardaí that he found a knife by the side of the bed and stabbed Mr. Power in the course of the melee. Right, so this is where it gets even more ridiculous. So Mr. Power has went into the house of Dean Kerrie. Dean Kerrie and his mother have obviously fled into the bedroom to try and protect themselves. Mr. Power has then assaulted a 17-year-old boy and his mum. So what would happen if Dean Kerrie didn't stab him, didn't kill him, or didn't knock him out, and Mr. Power overpowered him, knocked him out, and then his mother sitting there left to defend herself? He could have done anything. It's just fucking ridiculous. Mr. Justice McDermott said that he does not believe the court has heard the truth about the provenance of the knife and how it was found, but he armed himself quickly and used the knife. Well, good on him for using the knife. If anyone broke into my house and I had a knife sitting there, no matter what punishment I would get, if I was to defend my family, my mother, girlfriend, any kids that I have, I'd be stabbing them as viciously as I possibly could, and if they died, it's on them. It's not on me as a defendant. The judge added, I have to consider the nature of what happened that night. The Oireachtas has recognised the special position of those obliged to defend themselves or their property from unlawful attack, particularly in their home. That is therefore a matter that has to be taken into account when considering the capability of the accused. Those who are attacked in the home are entitled to use force, and sometimes lethal force, in defence of themselves and their home. Why is it sometimes? If someone breaks into your home, you should be able to do whatever you want to them. You should be able to kill them if they're breaking into your home with whatever is at hand. It's their fucking fault at the end of the day. They're coming into your home, you don't know what they're going to do. Why are they there? They're entering into the lion's den. You don't go into the lion's den and expect the lion to hold back. He said Kerrie's case was different to one where a person carries a concealed knife in public, and the defendant's case therefore attracts a lesser sentence. Kerrie did not instigate the attack and could not have expected it. He was at home when, without warning, he was attacked by Mr. Power, who had thrown a large rock through a front window of the house and unlawfully entered. So basically what we've got here, someone's been attacked in their own home, they've defended themselves, and a judge has deemed it necessary to punish the guy defending themselves. That judge is a disgrace, and he should lose any power he's got. He should be disbarred. He shouldn't be able to judge on any matters like this ever again. It's fucking ridiculous. The judge also noted that Mr. Power was a tall, well-built man, while Kerrie was of slight build and younger. But the jury's verdict indicated that Kerrie had used excessive force when he stabbed Mr. Power, and the fact that Mr. Power was unarmed was an aggregating factor. Right, so Mr. Power was apparently like a really well-built man. So if this young man didn't stab him, he could have just fucking grabbed him, knocked him out, choked him out, knocked him out, and sit there, leaving his mother unguarded, unprotected. Then who knows what he could have done. So it seems like if he's got a knife, that's the only possible way he could defend himself. It's not excessive whatsoever. When the offence happened, Kerrie was a minor, and had he been sentenced as a minor, he would have been subject to a regime where the emphasis is on rehabilitation rather than punishment, the judge said. Right, so he could have been rehabilitated, but for what? For what? For defending his own family. He should be heralded in the community as a hero. He shouldn't even have touched a jail cell. Even that night, they shouldn't even have arrested him. The only criminal in this case is Mr. Power, who smashed a window, entered the house, attacked a young 17-year-old boy and his mum, who was sitting right there, who were cowering in the fucking bedroom. The boy who done it shouldn't have any remorse whatsoever. He did what needed to be done, what any man would do. You know, he wasn't even a man, he was a 17-year-old boy. He's got more knowledge than the judge that's proceeding over this case. What kind of man is this judge? What's he going to do if a man breaks into his house? It's much larger than he is, starts attacking him and his wife? Is he just going to sit there and let him do whatever he wants to his wife? Is that the kind of man that this fucking maggot is? An adult who had committed this same crime would have faced a headline sentence of 7 years, the judge says. 7 years. 7 years for protecting your family. Honestly, the guy wouldn't even have got 7 years for breaking into the house. I know this is an Irish story, but if this was in the UK, you wouldn't even get 7 years for fucking beadling kids. Yet you're going to get 7 years for protecting your own home. It's a disgrace. I don't know what's going on with the judging system in the UK. Child molesters seem to get just a slap in the wrist, where people like this are getting years and years behind bars. It's just a disgrace. Taking into account Kerrie's age and the difficulty and pressurised situation created by the deceased, which was not of his making, he set the headline at 5 years and 6 months. He further reduced that, having considered Kerrie's remorse, and that he immediately contacted emergency services following the stabbing and accepted responsibility for inflicting the fatal wound. Right, Kerrie should have no remorse whatsoever. Yeah, he should have phoned the emergency services to potentially save his life, but if the guy died, it's his own fault. Kerrie should not have any remorse, because it's either that or him and his mum's going to possibly get killed themselves. Why should he have any remorse, and why should that be a mitigating factor? Kerrie is considered a moderate risk of violent offending in the future and will be required to work with probation services and engage with anger and violence management if deemed appropriate after his release. So effectively, they are trying to eliminate his own inbuilt evolutionary response to defending his family by using violence. Violence is necessary when you're defending your family. Doesn't matter if you're going to be facing 50 years behind bars, life behind bars. Your priority as a man is to defend your family. That's it. And a judge trying to eliminate that it's just despicable. What kind of a maggot of a man is he? Right, I'm gonna read another article just to find out further details, because articles can tend to be, biased one way or the other. So I'm going to read this one. This one's by the Irish Examiner. So the headline is, "He was grabbing man by the hair. Murder accused tells trial of accidental stabbing." A friend of the accused told the court Mr. Power must have been stabbed when he was swinging the accused mother's by the hair. Right, so he's swinging the boy's mum about by her hair, and the guy's sitting there. There's a knife by his side. According to the judge, he's just supposed to just sit there, phone the police, watch his mum get swung about by the hair. A 20-year-old murder accused has taken a stand at his own trial, telling the jury that the deceased had kicked in the front door of his home, attacked him and threatened to kill his mother. "I asked him to leave my house and to stop what he was doing. He started to kick me. I was trying to get out of his way. He ended up stabbed." Dean Kerrie, who was 17 at the time of the incident, told the Central Criminal Court on Friday. However, Michael Delaney SC, prosecuting, put it to Mr. Kerrie that it was a pack of lies to suggest 25-year-old Jack Powell had fallen on the knife, and submitted that the accused had instead deliberately stabbed him. Mr. Kerrie said that Mr. Powell had tried to kick the knife out of my hand. I went to move out of the way, and at the time, then he came in on top of me and he lost his footing. Well, clearly he's not going to have just slipped and fell on the knife. Clearly he's going to have stabbed him, but that shouldn't matter. If a man's in your house and he's attacking you and your mum, you should stab him. You shouldn't stab him once. You should stab him as many times as you possibly can until he's rendered incapable of attacking you anymore. Mr. Kerrie, 20, with an address at St Bridget's Square, Portalington in Coat Loes, has pleaded not guilty to murdering Mr. Powell at Shannakill, Dunmore East, Co-Waterfront. Taking the stand on Friday, Mr. Kerrie told his defence counsel, Kieran O'Loughlin SC, that he went to bed after midnight and woke up to the noise of glass breaking. The accused looked out of his window, saw someone standing by the sitting room window. He went into his brother's room, opened the window and saw Mr. Power standing there. 2 seconds after that, Jack Power came into the house. Jack Power kicked the front door in. We didn't have any key for the lock at the time, so we used to put the chain against the door, said Mr. Kerrie. When he heard the door being kicked, Mr. Kerrie said he went to leave the room but met Mr. Power at the door to his brother's bedroom. He grabbed me by the neck, he was choking me, I was dizzy on the ground. He threw me into the corner underneath the shelf, said Mr. Kerrie. When the accused came to after a few minutes, Mr. Power was screaming in his mother's face, saying that he was going to kill her and was pulling her backwards by the hair. This was what he was doing when I came round, he added. So if we're to believe Kerrie, he's actually been choked unconscious, and when he's came to, his mother's been slapped about, and he's just supposed to phone the police and not do anything about it. You know what I mean? Mr. Kerrie saw a knife on his brother's bed as he got up off the ground. He was still grabbing Mum by the hair. I asked him to leave my house and stop what he was doing, he said. He started to kick me and I tried to move out the way. I was trying to get out of his way. He ended up stabbed. At this point, Mr. Kerrie said that Mr. Power stopped what he was doing, turned around and went out of the room. He pulled his t-shirt up and looked down and there was blood. He turned around and kept walking out the front door. He said, adding that he closed the front door after Mr. Power. Mr. Kerrie, who had blood on his face and hands, put the knife behind the sink on the draining board when he heard Mr. Power's best friend Christopher Lee calling his name outside. When asked by his counsel how a white and black handled knife ended up on the floor in the hallway, the accused said he must have picked the wrong knife from off the counter. In the opening address, Mr. Delaney said the jury would hear that a black and white handled knife was seized and swore for blood, but curiously no blood was found on the blade. The court heard Gardaí found a similar knife partially concealed on the draining board in the kitchen of the house, which did appear to have blood on it, and it was found to contain Mr. Power's DNA. He said he put his mum in the attic when Mr. Lee started breaking the windows with a golf club. Under cross-examination, Mr. Kerrie told Michael Delaney SC prosecuting that Mr. Power was screaming at him through the window that night, that he had broken the window of his car. So not only was it Mr. Power, his daft pal was smashing his window in with golf clubs. So what's he supposed to do? A man outside's got golf clubs, another man's in the house attacking his mum. What was he supposed to do? Mr. Kerrie denied to the jury that he had damaged Mr. Power's car, saying he was telling me that he was going to kill me and would pull my head off my shoulders, then kick the door in. The accused said a chair had been put up against the door for the previous few months and as they were waiting to get a new lock on it. When asked by Mr. Delaney how he ended up stabbing Mr. Power, the accused said, when Jack Power let go of my mother, he tried to kick me. I tried to get out of the way of his kick. He tried to kick the knife out of my hand. I went to move out of the way at the same time, and then when he came in on top of me, he lost his footing. He was asked by counsel if he was telling the jury that this was an accidental stabbing. Yes, it was. I did not mean this, said Mr. Kerrie. Mr. Delaney put it to him that it was a pack of lies to suggest that Mr. Power had fallen on the knife. That's what happened. I tried to get out of the way. As I say, it shouldn't matter whether it was accidental or deliberate. The man was in the house. If someone's in your house, pick up a knife, stab them as many times as you possibly want. Mr. Delaney asked the accused why he had not told the arresting officer, Sergeant Pat Kelly, that the stabbing was an accident. I gave a quick story. I was scared and didn't know what happened. I didn't mean to stab him. I was very frantic at the time and didn't know what to do or say. I wasn't thinking, he said. The trial has heard that when he was arrested, the accused told Sergeant Kelly he should not have come into my house. I was asleep. I heard a smash, the front door breaking. He grabbed my mother. He started punching and kicking her. I grabbed a knife and stabbed him with it. Quite rightly to do that. Mr. Kerrie agreed that one would not usually expect to find a kitchen knife at the foot of someone's bed, which happened to be within reach as he came to. The accused said he was not too sure how the knife came to be there. The defendant denied that he had broken away as the scuffle between him and Mr. Power came to an end and he ran to the kitchen to get a knife. Mr. Delaney told the accused that he had deliberately stabbed Mr. Power in the chest and there was nothing accidental about it. Now, if he did run to the kitchen, grab a knife and come back and stab the guy in the chest, then that's what he should have done. He's a small man, the guy was a well-built man, that's exactly what he should have done. he shouldn't be prosecuted in any single way. It shouldn't even have came to court. That's not true, he said. He also denied deliberately hiding the knife between the draining board and the kitchen, and said he had put it out of the way. He further denied he had a guilty mind about what had happened between him and Mr. Power because he planted the wrong knife on the floor. Recalling the alleged assault on him by Mr. Power, Mr. Kerrie said the fisherman had his hands around his neck and his feet were off the ground. The accused said he was not sure if there were marks on his neck. Mr. Delaney put it to the accused that the reason he can't remember if there were marks on his neck was that he was not choked by Mr. Power, which Mr. Kerrie denied. The accused accepted that he could be heard shouting, "I'll take your life, I hope you're dead, I'll take your life" in the background on the 999 call. Which, if he did say that, then fair enough. The guy's in your house trying to attack you and your mum. Kill him. The barrister put it to the accused that it was as plain as the nose on your face that he was shouting this at Mr. Power, who was lying on the footpath outside, as there had been only one person seriously injured that night. Mr. Kerrie said he shouted this at Mr. Lee to keep him out of the house as he was in fear of his life. Counsel put it to him, "You weren't showing much fear there. You were belligerent and unrepentant. This was an act, I suggest, will you reveal your true demeanour?" The accused replied, "I was only 17 years of age. These people were nearly 10 years older than me. I didn't know what to do in that moment." Now, what kind of a lizard-like lawyer would say something like that? The lawyer said the words, "I hope you are dead," were not consistent with an accidental stabbing, which the accused agreed with. Instead, counsel went on to say that it was consistent with him stabbing Mr. Power because he was vexed and had stabbed him deliberately. This was an act of retaliation, counsel told Mr. Kerrie, and was not an act of self-defence. "I wasn't vexed," replied Mr. Kerrie. Later, the accused's friends, Dylan Jones, who had shared a bed with Mr. Kerrie that night, told Mr. O'Loughlin, defending, that the deceased got Mr. Kerrie on the ground that night and was saying, "You're dead, you're dead." "I remember looking at Dean and could see he was in fear of his life. I begged him to get off him, as he was only a child. I thought he was going to kill him," he continued. Jones did not see Mr. Kerrie stab the deceased that night. "I thought that night was going to be my last. All Dean done was defend himself. If he didn't, I don't know whether he would be here today," said the witness. And that's quite right. Nobody knows what would happen if he didn't stab him. He could be the one sitting there dead, and his mother sitting there dead. And the judge wants the boy to sit there and just watch his mum get killed, possibly killed, rather than defend her. Under cross-examination, Jones agreed with Mr. Delaney that Mr. Power must have been stabbed when he was swinging the accused mother by the hair in the bedroom. The witness said he suffered from trauma in the aftermath of this event. Opening the prosecution's case last week, Mr. Delaney said the jury may have to consider the issue of self-defence in the trial. I'm just going to go into the YouGov website. This is a UK website, just to see if the rules are similar. So the rules: using reasonable force against intruders. You can use reasonable force to protect yourself or others if a crime is taking place inside your home. This means you can protect yourself in the heat of the moment. This includes using an object as a weapon. Stop an intruder running off, by example, tackling him to the ground. There's no specific definition of reasonable force. It depends on the circumstances. If you only did what you honestly thought was necessary at the time, this would provide strong evidence that you acted within the law. Now, this is a problem with a lot of British law. It's not specific at all. It's completely open to interpretation. So if the judge is a weak man, like that guy there, a weak man who thinks if someone breaks into your house and starts beating your mother up, you're supposed to just sit there and not do absolutely nothing, then that he can just say that wasn't reasonable force. This is the other problem in Britain in general. The police are just a joke. Like, if you misgender someone, the police will be at your door quick as anything. They'll be at your door quick as anything. But when it comes to Just Stop Oil protesters that are just causing havoc at the moment in Britain, just like blocking off roads so ambulances can't get by, They'll just sit there, and have a little conversation with them. They won't even move them. They won't even move them off the road. They'll just sit there, have a little conversation with them, and leave it to the public to throw them off the road. And then the people that throw these like trouble causers off the road, they'll be the ones that are facing punishment, just like in this case. So it just goes to show, like, no one should ever just blindly follow the law. Because if this boy was to blindly follow the law, he could be dead, his mother could be dead. Follow your own instincts, follow your own inner moral code, follow what you think's right for you. Don't look at something a black and white sheet of paper which says the law. There's plenty of unjust laws, and this is just one of them. A man has been sent to jail for 3.5 years for protecting his own family in a situation where him and his mother could have potentially ended up dead. He's the one that's gone to jail for it. He's completely innocent in my eyes, and it's just ridiculous. I will leave this with one final quote by Martin Luther King. One has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws.